the killing joke then. Killing joke. Implant. Messiah. Implant. Address that problem.
Yes, this is the RFID variety, not the silicon variety. In the book of Revelation, it very clearly says that those who wear the mark of the beast will not be able to ascend. And clearly, we know that this kind of chipping is going on in America, where parents are being encouraged to have their children chipped so they know where they are. And of course, what they do is they play on their fears, saying, your children taken by a paedophile will know where they are. But of course, once you put an electrical circuit into us, we are, of course, one big advanced electrical circuit. So you can interfere with the biggest electrical circuit in our bodies, our brain. And I was actually shown this. I was taken on a mission by Yeshua, in which I was taken down the town, and I was in a bookshop, and I had a book pointed out to me. I opened it up, and this thing fell out, and I didn't even know what it was. And I went back and showed it to my mate, and he said, "Oh, that's an RFID chip." And I'd asked for a sign about the book of Revelation. That was a very clear sign to me, basically. So whatever you do, don't get an RFID chip. It'll stop you ascending.
Can you tell them some of the companies that make those chips? Do you know, like VeriChip? VeriChips. Look up VeriChip. Do a bit of a Google.
Yeah.
And you'll find out that people are already having implants. If people think it's crazy off the scale conspiracy, they're already putting them in prisoners.
Yeah, in America, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people are volunteering to have them done since the war on terror is out there. Apparently.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, what part of my mission as Messiah is to get things out. I was talking about hemp earlier on, to show that we can feed ourselves, look after ourselves, fuel ourselves using the hemp plant. That's one part of the mission. Obviously, the legalisation of all drugs is part of the mission, because we know that the New World Order practices their darkness with money made from the illegal drugs trade. So we eradicate that. But obviously, another key plank as well, in the same way that Jesus went to the temple and challenged the money lenders, I'm not actually going to turn over the tables. I'm going to say to the New World Order and the Federal Reserve and so on that it's over. We're going to have banks. The banks are no longer going to be printing money. Governments will print money, and all debt for all countries will be cancelled. These people have made bags of money off this over the years, and societies will not begin to recover until we take that great chunk out of the New World Order's budget. And what I've learned from many of these things, the failure of many political campaigns and so on, is not to understand the nature of your enemy. Don't try and win the war, get your enemy to lose it. And if we manage to renationalise the money supply, get governments printing money so they don't have to pay interest on it and so on, that takes away, I say, a big size of the war chest of the New World Order. So that stops them doing what they do.
What we need to know is, does your following start here? Right here tonight on Anarchy on the Airwaves. Yeah? Is this the beginning of your following?
It's actually interesting as well, because it could be, because the word anarchy is interesting, because anarchy actually just means no rule. And of course, this is the big thing. Once you ascend to a level of consciousness in which you are unselfish and live in unconditional love, you no longer need laws and rulers. This is the thing about it. You become literally the captain of your own ship. So anarchy is a very interesting phrase, and if people say it's not a question of following, it's a question of following the teaching. So anybody listening to this program, anyone in the chat room, they say, what am I going to do? It's up to you to just sit back tonight, try and empty your mind of the chaos of the world, and just feel your heart. Feel a time in your life when you've been happy, felt love, and feel that sensation again. And just think, what if I postulated the idea that the universe is in fact a just place? I know it doesn't seem like that at times, but just postulate that idea and decide to live my life believing there's a just God. See what happens. So that's the way forward, essentially. It's not up to me to do things as such. It's up to other people to look in their own hearts and, of course, get involved in the process of engagement. Being out there, being in the face of the Zionists is a great way of gaining the light.
So we could be at the forefront, right here tonight. We could be at the forefront of the beginning of the end, or whatever it is, or the end of the beginning. Or
this kind of spiritual revolution, in a sense, is what every lefty's dreamed of for the last 40 years in this country. All lefties I know have dreamed of a revolution. It's not going to be a political revolution with people, with placards and burning torches. It's a revolution of the heart. But it is a revolution in which many people, one of the first people I'm going to ask to hear confession from will be Tony Blair, of course.
I want to ask you something. It was something in the way you used the term lefty. Do you have a problem with left-wing people?
Well, I have to confess that for many years I was a lefty. I was a lefty.
Yeah, but you spied on lefties?
No, I never really spied on lefties as such. I did look at some of the files and stuff like that, but that was historical. I didn't really spy on lefties as such. Although some people would say, of course, me going to a demonstration dressed as an anarchist would be spying, but that was a demonstration. It was a public demonstration. I wasn't really spying on anyone at all. I was just chatting to people. But nevertheless, of course, I was there under false pretences.
Yeah, you were.
Because I wasn't actually an anarchist. I was actually an MI5 officer.
You were.
But I didn't really do very much spying on the left at all. Most of my work was done against terrorists, and so I'm happy I did that work. I think it helped to make the world a safer place.